the complete works of Oscar Wilde except for Salome, which is coming, I figured we might as well go ahead and read Bosie's poems. Lord Alfred Douglas, the infamous lover of Oscar Wilde, was a poet himself, and we'll talk a little bit more about him. I was fully expecting to come on here and be like, this guy sucks, because if you only listen to Oscar's side of the story, he sounds terrible. But I read the first poem of this book and I was kind of compelled by it, so let's just see what else is in this book because, I don't know. Apologia, which I think Oscar also has a poem called. Tell me not of philosophies, of morals, ethics, laws of life. Give me no subtle theories, no instruments of wordy strife. I will not forge laborious chains, link after link, till 7 times 7 I need no ponderous iron cranes to haul my soul from earth to heaven. But with a burnished wing, rainbow-hued in the sun, I will dive and leap and run in the air, and I will bring back to the earth a heavenly thing. I will dance through the stars and pass the blue bars of heaven. I will catch hands with God and speak with him. I will kiss the lips of the seraphim and the deep-eyed cherubim. I will pluck of the flowers that nod row upon row upon row in the infinite gardens of God. So he starts talking about he doesn't care about morals and ethics, but then he's hanging out with God. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know what the blue bars of heaven are, but if they serve tequila, I'm down. Oh wait, the poem wasn't over. To the breath of the wind, of the sweep of the lyres, and the cry of the strings and the golden wires, and the mystical musical things that the world may not know. Pray tell, what are those mystical musical things that the world may not know? I don't know. This is dated Oxford, 1892, and the book is from 1819. What's up, y'all? Here we go. Autumn Days. I have been through the woods today, and the leaves were falling. Summer had crept away, and the birds were not calling. And the bracken was like yellow gold that comes too late, when the heart is sad and old, and death is at the gate. Ah, mournful autumn, sad, slow death that comes at last. I am mad for a yesterday, mad. I am sick for a year that is past. Though the sun be like blood in the sky, he is cold as the lips of hate, and he fires the sere leaves as they lie on their bed of earth. Too late they are dead, and the bare trees weep, not loud as a mortal weeping, but as sorrow that sighs in sleep, and as grief that is still in sleeping. The Hut, 1890. Yeah, pardon my Australian salute. There's a fly in here. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like my lovely voice. Appreciate it. I actually have a degree in voice. Can you believe that? To Shakespeare. Most tuneful singer, lover tenderest, most sad, most piteous, and most musical, thine is the shrine, more pilgrim morn than all the shrines of singers. High above the rest, that trumpet sounds most loud, most manifest. Yet better were it if a lonely call of woodland birds, a song, a madrigal, were all the jetsam of thy sea's unrest. For now thy praises have become too loud on vulgar lips, and every yelping cur yaps thee a pain, the whiles little men not tall enough to worship in a crowd spit their small wits at thee. Ah, better than the broken shrine, the lonely worshipper. So, Interesting. I like the last poem. It was like mad for a yesterday when you're old and you're sad and you're sick for a year that has passed. This is interesting. But Shakespeare, yeah, Oscar was kind of obsessed with Shakespeare too. If you look at his essay about the picture of Mr. W.H., that really was his obsession. And I did a video on that. You can look it up. Amoris vincula. As a white dove that in a cage of gold is prisoned from the air, and yet more bound by love than bars, and will not wings unfold to fly away, though every gate be found unlocked and open. So my heart was caught and linked to thine with triple links of love, but soon a dove grown wanton, false, it sought to break its chain, and faithless quite to rove where thou wouldst not, and with a painted bird fluttered far off. But when a moon was past, grown sick with longing for a voice unheard and lips unkissed, spread wings and home flew fast. And lo, what seemed a sword to cleave its chain was but a link to rivet it again. So this seems to be about like infidelity. A dove grown wanton flies off with a painted bird. That sounds suspect. But then it comes back. It didn't get what it wanted, so it comes back. Very interesting. A summer storm. Alas, how frail and weak a little boat I have sailed in. I call it happiness, and I had thought there was not storm nor stress of wind so masterful, but it would float blithely in there despite. But lo, one note of harsh discord, one word of bitterness, and a fierce, overwhelming wilderness of angry waters chokes my gasping throat. I am near drowned in this unhappy sea. I will not strive. Let me lie still and sink. I have no joy to live. O unkind love, why have you wounded me so bitterly, that I'm as easily wounded as a dove who has a silver throat and feet of pink? Yeah, so I was wondering if there were going to be any poems in here that addressed his anger, because he was like very known for his really terrible, mean, horrible, insulting letters. Something that his father also did. You know, he convinced Oscar, Wilde to take his father in for a libel case. Oscar ended up going to prison, but Bosie didn't get enough, and he ended up bankrupting himself on all these other libel cases and then going to prison for libeling Winston Churchill. So this guy had serious anger issues. Hello, Sam. Hello, Javier. So, yeah, here's a poem that does deal with his anger, which is great. I mean, I would be disappointed if all of it was like hearts and flowers, when in reality the guy was kind of not very nice. A winter sunset. The frosty sky, like a furnace burning, the keen air crisp and cold, and a sunset that splashes the clouds with gold. But my heart to summer turning. Come back, sweet summer, come back again. I hate the snow, and the icy winds that the northlands blow, and the fall of the frozen rain. I hate the iron ground and the Christmas roses, and the sickly day that dies when it closes with never a song or a sound. Come back with your passionate heat and glowing hazes, and your sun that shines as a lover gazes, and your day with the tired feet. Okay, so he likes summer, he hates the snow, he hates the iron ground. How very unfortunate. Give it a like if you agree, if you prefer summer to winter. Anybody hate winter? Anybody love summer? Okay. In summer. There were the black pine trees and the sullen hills frowning. There were trills of birds, and the sweet hot sun, and little rills of water, everyone singing and prattling. There were bees, honey-laden, tuneful, a song far off, and a timid air that sighed and kissed my hair that the hot sun loves. The day was very fair, there was wooing of doves, and the shadows were not yet long. And I lay on the soft green grass, and the smell of the earth was sweet. And I dipped my feet in the little stream, and was cool, as a flower is cool in the heat, and the day lay still in a dream, and the hours forgot to pass. And you came, my love, so stealthily that I saw you not, till I felt that your arms were hot round my neck, and my lips were wet with your lips. I had forgot how sweet you were. And lo, the sun has set, and the pale moon came up silently. I like the rhyme scheme of this one. That's a cool rhyme scheme. In winter, oh look, he hates summer, or no, he hates winter, then he writes a couple about summer, and now he's going to write about winter that he apparently hates. Let's see what he has to say about it. Oh, for a day of burning noon, and a sun like a glowing ember. Oh, for 1 hour of golden June in the heart of this chill November. I can scarcely remember the spring's soft breath, or imagine the summer hazes. The yellow woods are so damp with death that I have forgotten the daisies. Oh, to lie watching the sky again, from a nest of hot grass and clover, till the stars come out like golden rain when the lazy day is over. And crowning the night with an aureole, as the clouds kiss and drift asunder, the moon floats up like a luminous soul, and the stars grow pale for wonder. In Sarum Close. I'm not standing up in this video, but you can see me standing in some of my other videos. Tired of passion and the love that brings satiety's unrest, and failing sands of life, I thought to cool my burning hands of life. No, my burning hands in this calm twilight of gray Gothic things. But love has laughed, and spreading swifter wings than my poor pinions, once again with bands of silken strength my fainting heart commands, and once again he plays on passionate strings. But thou, my love, my flower, my jewel, set in a fair setting, help me or I die. To bear love's burden, for that load to share is sweet and pleasant. But if lonely I must love unloved, 'tis pain. Shine we, my fair, two neighbor jewels in love's coronet. The Sphinx. Oscar Wilde also had a poem called The Sphinx, but it was a lot longer than this one. Let's see. I gaze across the Nile. Flame-like and red the sun goes down, and all the western sky is drowned in somber crimson. Wearily a great bird flaps along with wings of lead, black on the rose-red river. Over my head the sky is hard green bronze. Beneath me lie the sleeping ships. There is no sound or sigh of the wind's breath, a stillness of the dead. Over a palm tree's top I see the peaks of the tall pyramids, and through my eyes are barred from it. I know that on the sand crouches a thing of stone that in some wise broods on my heart. and from the darkening land creeps fear, and to my soul in whisper speaks. So Oscar's poem, The Sphinx, was sort of like about a cat that was like invoking demonic feelings or something, and then he ends it with like a very Christian kind of, you know, like, oh, I'll just be saved by Jesus or whatever. Um, and at the same time, he also wrote a short story that was like The Sphinx Without a Secret, that was about a woman who was clearly suffering from some kind of mental illness where she was like seriously paranoid. I made a video of that one too. You can watch it. It's called The Sphinx Without a Secret. But Bowie's poem, it looks like he wrote it in Cairo. I don't know. He was actually looking at a sphinx, not just imagining one. I don't know. Impression de nuit. And I, th- I know that Oscar Wilde wrote some poems that were called Impression. I think some of them were of the morning, I'm not sure, but this is Impression of the Night, London. See what a mass of gems the city wears upon her broad live bosom. Row on row, rubies and emeralds and amethysts glow. See that huge circle like a necklace stares with thousands of bold eyes to heaven, and dares the golden stars to dim the lamps below. And in the mirror of the mire, I know the moon has left her image unawares. That's the great town at night. I see her breasts, pricked out with lamps. They stand like huge black towers. I think they move. I hear her panting breath. And that's her head where the tiara rests, and in her brain, through lanes as dark as death, men creep like thoughts. The lamps are like pale flowers. Well, this is interesting. This is very, very, pro-female, even though he was kind of more into the men. So that's pretty interesting. 2L. Thou that was once my loved and loving friend, a friend no more, I had forgot thee quite. Why hast thou come to trouble my delight with memories? Oh, I had clean made end of all that time. I had made haste to send my soul into red places, and to light a torch of pleasure to burn up my night. What I have woven hast thou come to rend? In silent acres of forgetful flowers, crowned as of old with happy daffodils. Long time my wounded soul has been a-straying, alas! It has chanced now on sombre hours of hard remembrances and sad delaying, leaving green valleys for the bitter hills. You looking for pictures of videos of my standing? Look at my playlist that says singing. I have ones where I'm standing up in that. Night coming into a garden. Roses red and white. Every rose is hanging her head. Silently comes the lady night, only the flowers can hear her tread. All day long the birds have been calling, calling shrill and sweet. They are still when she comes with her long robe falling, falling down to her feet. The thrush has sung to his mate, she is coming, hush, she is coming. She is lifting the latch at the gate, and the bees have ceased from their humming. I cannot see her face as she passes through my garden of white and red, but I know she has walked where the daisies and grasses are curtsying after her tread. She has passed me by with a rustle and a sweep of her robe. As she passed I heard it sweeping, and all my red roses have fallen asleep, and all my white roses are sleeping. So he's got red roses and he's got white roses, and the night comes in, and all of her robes make all his flowers go to sleep. I don't know. That's interesting, I guess. Night coming out of a garden. Through the still air of night suddenly comes, alone and shrill, like the far-off voice of the distant light, the single piping trill of a bird that has caught the scent of the dawn and knows that the night is over. She has poured her dews on the velvet lawn and drenched the long grass and the clover. And now, with her naked white feet, she is silently passing away out of the garden and into the street, over the long yellow fields of the wheat, till she melts in the arms of the day. And from the great gates of the east, with a clang and a brazen blare, forth from the rosy wine and the feast, comes the god with the flame-flaked hair. The hoofs of his horses ring on the golden stones, and the wheels of his chariot turn and sing. And the earth beneath him reels, and forth with a rush and a rout his myriad angels run, and the world is awake with a shout. He is coming, the sun, the sun! So let's see, first we had night coming into a garden, and that was night coming out of a garden. Alright. Perkin Warbeck. At Tourney in Flanders I was born, foredoomed to splendor and sorrow, for I was a king when they cut the corn, and they strangle me tomorrow. 2. Oh, why was I made so red and white, so fair and straight and tall? And why were my eyes so blue and bright, and my hands so white and small? 3. And why was my hair like the yellow silk and curled like the hair of a king, and my body like the soft new milk that the maids bring from milking? 4. I was nothing but a weaver's son. I was born in a weaver's bed. My brothers toiled, and my sisters spun, and my mother wove for our bread. 5. I was the latest child she had, and my mother loved me the best. She would laugh for joy and anon be sad that I was not as the rest. 6. For my brothers and sisters were black as the gate whereby I shall pass tomorrow, but I was white and delicate, and born to splendor and sorrow. 7. And my father the weaver died full soon, but my mother lived for me. And I had silk doublets and satin shoon, and I was nurtured tenderly. And the good priests had much joy of me, for I had wisdom and wit, and there was no tongue or subtlety, but I could master it. 9. And when I was 14 summers old, there came an English knight, with purple cloak and spurs of gold and sword of chrysolite. 10. He rode through the town both sad and slow, and his hands lay in his lap. He wore a scarf as white as the snow, and a snow-white rose in his cap. 11. And he passed me by in the marketplace, and he reined his horse and stared, and I looked him fair and full in the face, and he stayed with his head all bared. 12. And he leaped down quick and bowed his knee, and took hold on my hand, and he said, Is it a ghost or wraith that I see, or the white rose of England? 13. And I answered him in the Flemish tongue, My name is Peter Warbeck. From Catherine de Farrow I am sprung, and my father was John Osbeck. 14. My father toiled and weaved with his hand, and bare neither sword nor shield, and the white rose of fair England turned red on Bosworth field. 15. And he answered, What matter for anything? For God hath given to thee the voice of the king, and the face of the king, and the king thou shalt surely be. 16. And he wrought on me till the vesper bell, and I rode forth out of the town, and I might not bid my mother farewell, lest her love should seem more than a crown. 17. And the sun went down, and the night waxed black, and the wind sang wearily. And I thought on my mother, and would have gone back, but he would not suffer me. 18. And we rode, was it 9 days or 3, till we heard the bells that ring, for my cousin Margaret of Burgundy, and I was indeed a king. For I had 100 fighting men to come at my beck and call, and I had silk and fine linen to line my bed withal. They dressed me all in silken dresses, and little I wot did they reck of the precious scents for my golden tresses, and the golden chains for my neck. And all the path for the rose to walk was strewn with flowers and posies. I was the milk-white rose of York, the rose of all the roses. And the Lady Margaret taught me well, till I spake without lisping, of Warwick and Clarence and Isabel, and my father, Edward the King. And I sailed to Ireland and to France, and I sailed to fair Scotland, and had much honour and pleasance, and Catherine Gordon's hand. And after that, what brooks it to say whither I went or why? I was as loath to leave my play and fight as now to die. For I was not made for wars and strife, and blood and slaughtering. I was but a boy that loved his life, and I had not the heart of a king. Oh, why had God dealt so hardly with me, that such a thing should be done, that a boy should be born with a king's body and the heart of a weaver's son? I was well pleased to be at the court, lord of the thing that seems. It was merry to be a prince for sport, a king in a kingdom of dreams. But ever they said I must strive and fight to wrest away the crown. So I came to England in the night, and I warred on Exeter town. And the king came up with a mighty host, and what could I do but fly? I had 3,000 men at the most, and I was most loath to die. And they took me, and brought me to London town, and I stood where all men might see, I that had well nigh worn a crown in a shameful pillory. And I cried these words in the English tongue, I am Peter Warbeck, from Catherine de Farrow I am sprung, and my father was John Osbeck. My father toiled and weaved with his hand, and bare neither sword nor shield, and the white rose of fair England turned red on Bosworth field. And they gave me my life, but they held me fast within this weary place. But I wrought on my guards ere a month was past with my wit and my comely face. And they were ready to set me free, but when it was almost done, and I thought I should gain the narrow sea and look on the face of the sun, the Lord of the Tower had word of it, and alas for my poor hope. For this is the end of my face and my wit, that tomorrow I die by the rope. And the time draws nigh, and the darkness closes, and the night is almost done. What had I to do with their roses, I, the poor weaver's son? They promised me a bed so rich, and a queen to be my bride, and I have gotten a narrow ditch and a stake to pierce my side. They promised me a kingly part, and a crown my head to deck, and I have gotten the hangman's cart, and a hempen cord for my neck. Oh, I would that I had never been born to splendor and shame and sorrow, for it's ill riding to grim Tyburn, where I must ride tomorrow. I shall dress me all in silk and scarlet, and the hangman shall have my ring. For though I be hanged like a low-born varlet, they shall know I was once a king. And may I not fall faint or sick till I reach at last to the jail. And I pray that the rope may choke me quick, and Christ receive my soul. Well, that was an interesting epic poem. It kind of reminds me of what was that? There was a short story by Oscar Wilde where a baby was found by these poor people and they raised it as their own, but it looked different. It was like beautiful and it had, gold hair. And, one day its true parents came to fetch it, and but it didn't have too good of a time being the king. This is what it reminds me of. There was also The Duchess of Padua, a play by Oscar Wilde, in which a guy he was like the son of this duke, and he was given to some other family to protect him, and then eventually someone comes for him to bring him up to the court to try to make things right and get revenge on the man who sold his father and everything. And I don't think it worked out too well for him either. So those are two stories that kind of mirror this same poem. I wonder what themes are going on there. What current events they might have been like referring to. I don't know. But it is interesting that he's the son of weavers, because weavers were like they were like sketchy, extremely poor people. Like when Vincent van Gogh spent all these time with the weavers and painted the weavers, people were like, why are you hanging out with these like terrible people? It's not a good position in the world to be in at this time. Okay. A song. Steal from the meadows, rob the tall green hills, ravish my orchard's blossoms. Let me bind a crown of orchard flowers and daffodils, because my love is fair and white and kind. Today the thrush has trilled her daintiest phrases. Flowers with their incense have made drunk the air. God has bent down to gild the hearts of daisies, because my love is kind and white and fair. Today the sun has kissed the rose tree's daughter, and sad Narcissus, spring's pale acolyte, hangs down his head and smiles into the water, because my love is kind and fair and white. So Bosie seems to have the same obsession with describing people as white in a good way, which nowadays, it's kind of like you can't say that in a good way anymore. It's kind of different. Yeah. Narcissus in the water. Right. Plainte éternelle. The sun sinks down, the tremulous daylight dies. Down their long shafts the weary sunbeams glide. The white-winged ships drift with the falling tide. Come back, my love, with pity in your eyes. The tall white ships drift with the falling tide. Far, far away I hear the sea-mew's cries. Come back, my love, with pity in your eyes. There is no room now in my heart for pride. Come back with pity in your eyes. The night is dark, the sea is fierce and wide. There is no room now in my heart for pride, though I become the scorn of all the wise. I have no place now in my heart for pride. The moon and stars have fallen from the skies. Though I become the scorn of all the wise, thrust, if you will, sharp arrows in my side. Let me become the scorn of all the wise. Out of the east I see the morning ride. Thrust, if you will, sharp arrows in my side. Play with my tears and feed upon my sighs. Wound me with swords, put arrows in my side. On the white sea the haze of noonday lies. Play with my tears and feed upon my sighs. But come, my love, before my heart has died. Drink my salt tears and feed upon my sighs. Westward the evening goes with one red stride. Come back, my love, before my heart has died. Down sinks the sun, the tremulous daylight dies. Come back, my love, before my heart has died. Out of the south I see the pale moon rise. Down sinks the sun, the tremulous daylight dies. The white-winged ships drift with the falling tide. Okay, so each of these verses here, the second line of each four of the four lines is in parentheses. And I have seen this same kind of format in at least one of Oscar Wilde's poems. And also, it's super interesting how certain lines are repeated at different times, like kind of sort of staggered. I'm sure there's some type of mathematical formula that is used for that, and I like that. I think that formula is effective. All right, Jonquil and Fleur de Lis. Jonquil was a shepherd lad. White he was as the curded cream, hair like the buttercups he had, and wet green eyes like a full chalk stream. His teeth were as white as the stones that lie down in the depths of the sun-bright river, and his lashes danced like a dragonfly with drops on the gauzy wings that quiver. His lips were as red as round, ripe cherries, and his delicate cheeks and his rose-pink neck were stained with the color of dog-rose berries when they lie on the snow like a crimson fleck. His feet were all stained with the cowslips and grass to amber and verdigris, and through his folds one day did pass the young prince Fleur de Lis. Fleur de Lis was the son of the king. He was as white as an onyx stone. His hair was curled like a daffodil ring, and his eyes were like gems in the queen's blue zone. His teeth were as white as the white pearls set round the thick white throat of the queen in the hall, and his lashes were like the dark net that she binds her yellow hair withal. His lips were as red as the red rubies the king's bright dagger hilt that deck, and pale rose-pink as the amethyst is, were his delicate cheeks and his rose-pink neck. His feet were all shod in shoes of gold, and his coat was as gold as a blackbird's bill is, with jewel on jewel manifold, and wrought with a pattern of golden lilies. When Fleur de Lis espied Jonquil, he was as glad as a bird in May. He tripped right swiftly adown the hill, and called to the shepherd boy to play. This fell out ere the sheep shearing that these two lads did sport and toy, Fleur de Lis, the son of a king, and the sweet Jonquil, the shepherd boy. And after they had played a while, thereafter they to talking fell, and full an hour they did beguile, while each his state and lot did tell. For Jonquil spake of the little sheep, and the tender ewes that know their names, and he spake of his wattled hut for sleep, and the country sports and the shepherd's games. And he plucked a reed from the edge that girds the river bank, and with his knife made a pipe with a breath like the singing birds when they flute to their loves in a musical strife. And he told of the night so long and still, when he lay awake till he heard the feet of the goat-foot god coming over the hill, and the rustling sound as he passed through the wheat. And Fleur de Lis told of the king and the court, and the stately dames and the slender pages, of his horse and his hawk and his mimic fort, and the silent birds in their golden cages, and the jeweled sword with the damask blade that should be his in his 15th spring, and the silver sound that the gold horns made, and the tourney lists and the tilting ring. And after that they did devise for mirth and sport that each should wear the other's clothes, and in this guise make play each other's parts to bear. Whereon they stripped off all their clothes, and when they stood up in the sun, they were as like as one white rose on one green stalk to another one. And when Jonquil as a prince was shown, and Fleur-de-lis as a shepherd lad, their mothers' selves would not have known that each the other's habit had. And Jonquil walked like the son of a king, with dainty steps and proud oat look, and Fleur-de-lis, that sweet youngling, did push and paddle his feet in the brook. And while they made play in this wise, unto them all in haste did run two lords of the court with joyful cries, that long had sought the young king's son. And to Jonquil they reverence made, and said, My lord, we are come from the king, who is sore vexed that thou hast strayed so far without a following. And unto them said Fleur-de-lis, You do mistake, my lords, for know that I am the son of the king, and this is sweet Jonquil, my playfellow. Whereas one of these lords replied, Thou lying knave, I'll make thee rue such saucy words. But Jonquil cried, Nay, nay, my lord, 'tis even true. Whereat these lords were sore distressed, and one made answer bending knee, My lord the prince is pleased to jest. But Jonquil answered, Thou shalt see. Sure never yet so strange a thing as this before was seen, that a shepherd was thought the son of a king, and a prince a shepherd boy to have been. Now mark me well, my noble lord, a shepherd's feet go bare and cold, therefore they're all green from the sword, and the buttercup makes a stain of gold. That I am Jonquil thou thus shalt thou know, and that this be very Fleur-de-lis, if his feet be like the driven snow, and mine like the amber and verdigris. He lifted up the shepherd's frock that clothed the prince, and straight did show that his naked feet all under his smock were whiter than the driven snow. He doffed the shoes and the clothes of silk that he had gotten from Fleur-de-lis, and all the rest was as white as milk, but his feet were like amber and verdigris. With that they each other took back his own, and when the second change was done, as a shepherd boy was Jonquil shown, and Fleur-de-lis the king's true son. By this the sun was low in the heaven, and Fleur-de-lis must ride away, but ere he left with kisses 7, he vowed to come another day. So Bosie was sitting there one day reading The Prince and the Pauper, and he was like, you know what, they could tell them apart by their feet, end of story, and then he wrote this, I'm guessing. Now, Prince Fleur-de-lis is a name that Bosie gave himself. He called himself Fleur-de-lis, this was like a thing, and infamously, he sent Oscar a message that he, like, when Oscar was in prison, he was like, oh, so-and-so, tell Oscar that Prince Fleur-de-lis is abroad, like, he thinks he's being cute, and Oscar's, like, in prison, and he didn't bother to write to Oscar himself, he just sends him this shitty message through another person. Bosie was a prick. Anyway, let's go on. A prayer. Often the western wind has sung to me. There have been voices in the streams and meres, and pitiful trees have told me, God, of thee, and I heard not. Oh, open thou mine ears. The reeds have whispered low as I passed by, Be strong, O friend, be strong, put off vain fears. Vex not thy soul with doubts, God cannot lie, and I heard not. Oh, open thou mine ears. There have been many stars to guide my feet, at the delicate moon, hearing my sighs, has rent the clouds and shown a silver street, and I saw not. Oh, open thou mine eyes. Angels have beckoned me unceasingly, and walked with me, And from the somber skies, dear Christ himself has stretched out hands to me, and I saw not. Oh, open thou mine eyes. Let's leave it there for tonight. Thanks for letting me read to you, and please check the description for where to buy my art and my channel page for where to send me a one-time donation. And see you later.